Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome back. If you remember last week, it was a cliffhanger. My sixth graders can tell you what that term is. At least I should be able to. We left you hanging, essentially. We said that Uriah would not go down to his wife, and David's trying to cover up his sin. Boys and girls, do you think David's sin's going to get found out? Yeah, God's word tells us, be sure your sin will find you out. We don't always get a punishment right away, boys and girls, but God always knows when we've done what's wrong. And as scary as that can be, God also knows every time you've done what's right. Well, let's find out. What does David do? Because Uriah, he sent him to go home to be with his wife, and he wouldn't go. Let's look at verse 12 and pick up there. And David said to Uriah, "Tarry here today also, and tomorrow I will let thee depart." So Uriah abode in Jerusalem that day and the morrow. Verse 13. And when David had called him, he did eat and drink before him, and he made him drunk. And at even he went out to lie on his bed with the servants of his Lord, but went not down to his house. So David had told him to go home the first night. He wouldn't go home because Uriah is a man of character. So David's second plan is, hey, if I get him drunk, he'll go home and he'll be with his wife, and then we'll still have all this covered up and it'll be okay. Well, boys and girls, it said it at the end of it. Did he go down to his house even though he was drunk? He didn't. He still stayed outside at the gate with the other servants. He did not go down to his house. So David's tried to send him home. David's gotten him drunk to send him home. Still doesn't work. He resorts to plan 3. Boys and girls, this sin has escalated, okay? He wasn't where he was supposed to be. He ends up, there's going to be a baby now, which having babies isn't a problem. It's just that Bathsheba was not his wife. And he's gotten a man drunk. Now it's going to get worse. Well, Uriah comes in. He sees David the next day, and David gives him a note. Okay, and kind of think of like a rolled up scroll of paper here. Gives him a note. Can't see what's on the inside. And he says, take this to Joab. Take it to him and give him my orders. This is a note for Joab. So Uriah takes that note. He takes it to Joab, and he obeys. He does what he's supposed to do. And wait till you find out what's in that note. Oh, thanks. He takes it to Joab, and he gives it to Joab, and Joab reads the note in verse number 15. And he wrote in the letter saying, so David writes in the letter, set ye Uriah in the forefront of the hottest battle, and retire ye from him, that he may be smitten and die. Wait, that letter he just put in Uriah's hand for Uriah to take to Joab is his death sentence. And boys and girls, what had Uriah done that was wrong? Yeah, he hadn't. But because of David's sin, and David's trying to cover it up, now Uriah is carrying his death sentence to Joab. Well, Joab reads it and he obeys King David. They go into battle. They put Uriah right in the hottest part of the battle. They retreat, and Uriah dies. Uriah is killed. Why? Because of David's sin, boys and girls. Our sin affects people. Now, hopefully your sin has not caused the death of anyone else. But our sin, boys and girls, it doesn't just affect us. It affects those around us. You ever had that one person in the classroom who has a bad attitude and it affects the whole class? Or that happens at home. Okay, one brother or sister is having a rough day, and that, gives mom and dad a hard time, and it just makes the house a rough place. Boys, you want to hide. When my brother would get in trouble, I'd actually go in the bathroom and turn the water on so I couldn't hear him getting in trouble, because I hated to hear him getting in trouble. But boys and girls, our sin affects those around us. And now David's sin has affected Uriah. It's affected Bathsheba. Well, Bathsheba finds out that her husband has died, and she's sad and she's upset about it. Verse 18. Then Joab sent and told David all the things concerning the war. Verse 19, and charged the messenger, saying, when thou hast made an end of telling the matters of the war unto the king, and if so be that the king's wrath arise, and he say unto thee, wherefore approached ye so nigh unto the city when ye did fight? Knew ye not that they would shoot from the wall? Who smote Abimelech, the son of Jerubbesheth, Did not a woman cast a piece of millstone upon him from the wall that he died? And he goes on and he gives these scenarios. If David gets upset at you and says, how could you have been so foolish as to go that near the wall? Tells him, let him know that Uriah the Hittite died. Boys and girls, all of this to cover up a sin. Boys and girls, we do that. We tell one lie to cover up a sin that becomes a whole strand of lies because we're trying to cover up what we've done wrong. Boys and girls, we're going to find out this is going to cost David a lot. We don't necessarily mean financially, but it cost him a lot. The messenger goes to David. He gives the message. He tells him that Uriah has died. Verse 25, then David said unto the messenger, thus shalt thou say unto Joab, let not this thing displease thee, for the sword devoureth one as well as another. Make thy battle more strong against the city and overthrow it, and encourage thou him. Boys and girls, he's like, well, the sword's going to kill people in battle. It's going to kill one just as much as another. Wow, how cold he's become because of his sin. Verse 26, and when the wife of Uriah heard that Uriah, her husband, was dead, she mourned for her husband. And then verse 27, and when the mourning was past, mourning as in sadness, David sent and fetched her to his house, and she became his wife, and bare him a son. But the thing that David had done displeased the Lord. In a sense, it looks like it came out okay because now David has her as a wife. It's going to be all right. But boys and girls, what he did displeased God. You're never going to get away with your sin. We might think we will. We'll try to cover it up. We'll do things to get away with it. But our sin displeases the Lord. The man after God's own heart had done something that displeased the Lord. Boys and girls, none of us are above doing what's wrong. Each one of us has to be on guard. We have to fight Satan. We have to be prepared because Satan wants to attack us. Satan wants us to do what's wrong. But boys and girls, we have God. We have God's word. We can read his word. We can pray. And we can know how to fight Satan. We can be in the right place. We can work at not covering up our sin. When we do what's wrong, make it right. Boys and girls, we've seen lots of good examples of David, and this story is sad as we read it because David made a wrong choice that kind of snowballed into a lot of other wrong choices and ends up with the death of Uriah and other valiant men. Boys and girls, I hope as you go about this week, as you're tempted to do something that's wrong, that if you do fall, if you do sin, that you won't try to cover it up. Come clean, get it taken care of, ask for forgiveness, pray, talk to God, ask him for help. Don't let it become one sin after another to where you get cold to the things of God.